there she is. On a lovely Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, Maria.
Happy Valentine's Day. I always say, like, if you're in a healthy relationship, right, every day is Valentine's Day. So I don't really, I don't make too much about the one day. I actually totally forgot it was Valentine's Day until we had to dress our son up in, like, red. We had him in a red shirt with suspenders, jeans, and a hat on today. So
there you go. There you go. Well,
you got big plans? You taking the wife out somewhere nice?
I do have. Yeah, I have. My son wanted to come, but I don't know why I entertained it. But so I booked a place that's supposed to be pretty good. We'll see. I booked it last night. We'll see if it's supposed to be really good. So,
all right.
So we're gonna go, and then I think 4:35 early. But
yeah, it's best to do that before it gets crazy. Is it a price fixed menu where you're going?
They have that, but I have learned from my past that is not always the way to go, because it's like they have the set stuff, and I don't know. Like, I like it when they have to make it. You know what I mean? Like, go and make.
I like picking my own stuff. I don't like. That's why I don't like going out for New Year's either, because they do everything. You get your options and that's it, and you're like, man, but I picked this restaurant because I wanted XYZ and it's not on the price fixed menu. So, I like being able to pick my own stuff.
Me too. Yeah, I've done the price fix in the past, and I've been disappointed every time. Yep. So, because that's like the guaranteed stuff that they know they're going to sell, basically, and so that's, I don't know. It's not that it sits around, but I feel like it does for some reason. So
I'm trying to get rid of it. Sure.
Yeah. So that's the kind of deal there.
Did you get roses? Did you buy roses today?
Yep. I have all that stuff sitting. I haven't brought it in yet, but I have it all.
Nice.
It partakes in my car until it comes in. But actually, today's a little bit warmer, so I was like, I gotta make sure. Like, normally it's freezing cold, so it's not, but there's a little bit of sun out, so I'm like, hopefully, I gotta get it in soon. So, but yep, roses. I got a couple things for my son too. I mean, he wants the stuff that he doesn't need, but I'm getting it for him. He wants, like, Roblox stuff and that nonsense. Because he already has every athletic piece of equipment you could possibly need. So I just get Roblox or whatever they call it.
My daughter likes Roblox. I don't get it, but she does. She likes that as well.
You know what they like? There's so many different rooms they can go in with different games. That's what they like. So all of a sudden, my son's into fishing. I'm like, you want to go real fishing? Because that's, I caught this, I caught that. I'm like, fishing? But I guess if one friend, because their friends go in there and then they're like talking to them. Yeah. It's a totally world that I don't even really understand. So
no, same. I was never really into like video games and like electronics when I was younger. So.
Well, you're rare then.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, when Nintendo came out, I played Super Mario Brothers a bit. Sega Genesis, I played Sonic, but like, I was always outside, and then during the winter, I was always playing basketball, so I didn't have time for any of that stuff. I was what the kids would call nowadays like a weird, boring kid, because I just focused on basketball and school, and that was really it. I didn't have like any other hobbies per se, so.
No, it's funny. That it's true. Well, it's true. I mean, I'm a little older, so video games were.
Would you have Atari?
I did start out with Atari. I remember when yes, I had the original Atari, the original stuff like Pong and those things, and then it did move to I got like Sega. Then in college we had Nintendo. I want to say that's where I played more. Honestly, I probably played more video games by the time I got to like college than I did when I was even younger. Because I was outside playing sports, and back when I was a kid, you were just outside because there was really nothing else to do. There were no like you could only watch a pong ball go back and forth so many times. So you were at
Right.
I remember my mother would be like, "Get out." Of
Yep.
where do you want us to go? I don't care. Just go somewhere. And it would be like, when do we have to be back? Just when it gets dark, just come back. All
Yeah.
right.
Now it's like the opposite. Like, you're nervous if your kids are out by
Oh
themselves
yeah.
running around. And I just remember, like, by the time, like, Sega was the last, like, video console that I would play on because, like, PlayStation, Xbox, I was like, there's so many buttons. I'm like, what do you need all these buttons for? Like, what do they all do? Like, I know people, gamers and stuff, but I'm like, I like the old school Nintendo where, like, you can almost hold it with one hand if you wanted to, and there's 4 or 5 buttons. Now there's buttons on the back, on the bottom, underneath. It's like nutty.
Yeah, no, it is because when I play like if I play Madden like or college football against my son or even basketball, he plays now. He's into like what you call 25 the NBA 25 or whatever just came out, and
Yep.
so we're playing that, and like I know the basic buttons, so I'm all right, I shoot, pass, hand up, whatever those things. But then when he starts doing like crazy shit, I'm like, how are you doing that shit? Like, how are you doing that?
Yeah. Yep.
Like, like how are you throwing that pass? And he's like, you got to figure it out.
Yep. No, it's
You got to
too
figure it
much.
out.
And my daughter is never. She's never
65-7.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we
Well,
have like, I got for Christmas a couple of years back. They were selling like the old Nintendo where like all the games are loaded. So we have one of those in the house, and like every once in a while she would play with me, but like she's not even into that. So I just stopped, and it's like, whatever at this point. Maybe my son will eventually want to play games or something, but for now, we got none of that stuff in the household, and I kind of like it that way. So.
yeah, yeah, no, there's no doubt. I mean, it's a deadly path. So is the
Mhm.
iPad. The iPad is a deadly path as well. The iPad is a detriment to my existence in this world.
Yep. Yep.
Once they get on something like the iPad, forget it. It's like
Yeah.
an argument. It's a battle. But yeah, no. So that's it. Today's an interesting day. It's Friday and Valentine's Day. So that
Yep.
that means it's I don't know if that's better or worse than having it during the week, um but it definitely is it's an eventful day. The funniest thing I see is I like seeing the young guys that are in there trying to get it for like their girlfriends, and they're in a panic. Like I'm talking about like guys in their 20s. They're hilarious when you see them. They're like they're trying to figure out. They're grabbing everything in the store. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, oh yeah, I know he's trying to keep somebody happy.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. It's a big money waster. I mean, like, just to buy a dozen roses, like $80 now, and then
Yep.
dinner. It's
Oh, it's
it's just some money grab. What are you gonna do?
definitely dip me five. If I'll be dipped out $600 by the end of the today.
Yeah.
It's just a killer. I'm like, oh my god, yeah. All right, so now I got to go really now work just to make up to break back even.
Yep.
Right. So I want to ask you, by the way, you brought into your restaurant, your bar, right? Bar restaurant.
Yep.
You brought in the square pizza.
Yeah. So when we opened up like 3.5 years ago, the whole concept was really like Connecticut-based stuff. So we did like mainly Connecticut-based breweries, mainly Connecticut-based wineries and distilleries. And when we first were opening, we really wanted to put at least like a pizza oven in there, maybe not like a full kitchen, but at least pizza. And back when we were opening, there was a pizza, like little, just like a tiny mom and pop one on the corner, like a block down from us. And so our the owner of our building at the time, was really against it because that person had been there for a while, and that was also one of their buildings. So we weren't really allowed to do that. So the food that we did in our place when we opened was, like charcuterie platters. We
Oh, okay.
did just like sandwiches and like little picks, which was great. It served its purpose, but what we kind of became to be was like either the place to go before you went to dinner, like people would stop in, have a couple of drinks, maybe a nap, and then leave, or we were the place that people went after dinner. So, we weren't really capturing the dinner crowd. So, about a year ago, that same pizza place closed, and so we revisited it, and we just decided at that point that it just made more sense for us to merge into Square Peg. So the owner of Square Peg is Jay Maffei. He's a partner of mine on my financial business. I've been working with Jay since 2017. So I have a really great relationship with him from the financial business that we do. And right before COVID, he had opened up his first Square Peg. And he was one of the only restaurants that really thrived during COVID because his restaurant in Glastonbury, they had a drive-through window. So you could literally order your pizzas and your food and go pick it up in the drive-through. So during COVID, that was great because, you still captured a lot of those people that wanted to do takeout and have all those different things, but that couldn't come into the restaurant. So he has one now up in where Gino's restaurant used to be on campus in stores.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one I had heard of. So I saw a whole I don't know what, one of those TikTok people that do food went around
Yep.
and went to that one, I think.
Yeah.
And
It's
they got
I've
like
been
a really
there.
good rating. Got like a really good rating.
Yeah, the pizza is awesome. It has a commissary in Weathersfield where, because the whole thing was like, what stinks about pizza specifically when people try to open up multiple locations is if you're doing the dough in a bunch of different places, it tastes different, right? Because the water is different in different places and the air is different. So, um, if you don't cook all the pizza or prepare the dough in the same place, you could go to different places and it tastes totally different, which is not what you want.
Right.
So he was smart in building this commissary where now, all the dough is prepared there. So it's all the same water, it's all the same air. And then, it gets delivered out to all the different locations. I think he has maybe 5 or 6 throughout Connecticut now. I think we're the sixth. He actually just opened one up in Delray, Florida. Um, and somehow they were able to like get the dough, the water, and the air exactly the same down there, which again is really, really hard. Like if you go have pizza in Florida versus having pizza in Connecticut, it typically
Oh
tastes
yeah.
way, way, way different. But I have friends who are from Connecticut who live down there who have gone and they were like, oh my gosh, finally a pizza joint that tastes like Connecticut pizza.
Yeah.
Because Connecticut pizza is just, amazing. So, I had approached him when, we got the kind of go ahead to expand what we were doing from a kitchen perspective. And originally we were going to kind of still keep like the Connecticut vibe with like all of their food, which we still will do. I mean, he does a lot of Connecticut breweries anyway, so he kind of has a little bit of a similar vibe as us. So now we're merging it into a square peg, and they do an awesome brunch. They do a ton of live entertainment, trivia nights, all that stuff. And where we're located in Shelton, we overlook the Naugatuck Valley River. So
Yep.
it's a gorgeous, gorgeous spot downtown. There'll be outdoor seating. Inside we got like old arcade video games like Pac-Man and all that other stuff. So it's fun for the kids. So I'm really excited. Our tentative reopen date is February 24th.
Oh,
So
okay.
Yeah, so within the next like week and a half, I was just there this morning. We were finalizing up like getting the different hoods and stuff that we need in for the pizza, but it's gonna be really cool. It's gonna be awesome. And it's funny because there's a lot of like kids that graduated from UConn last year that live back in the valley, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, Square Peg's the best!" Like, it kills up in stores. Um, because they do the DJ and stuff at night, so that's become like the new like Huskies up there. It's like the place that all the kids go to, and like
Oh wow.
yeah, like the crazy part is we went up there, me and my teammates that went up for Gino's thing back in November. We went there on a Saturday and it was still like they do brunch on Saturdays and Sundays, and they do like the bottomless drinks and all these different specials, and we were like, could you imagine if we had a spot on campus in college that did like bottomless mimosas and bottomless drinks? That would just be like ridiculous, that you could just like walk to, because it's down by like where the old store 24 used to be.
Yep, yep, yep. That whole
Um,
downtown area they have. I've been to. I was at Gino's restaurant. It must have been he must have only been open for like a very short time at that point. It was a few years ago, several years ago, I think. Now, but when he closed his restaurant down or?
yeah, so they, that restaurant was like more of like a high end,
Yes, yes, I remember that.
like which did all right, but when you're on a college campus, like your
Yeah.
kids can't afford to go and have a steak dinner. So his restaurant in Manchester does really, really well. It's called Cafe Aura.
Okay.
And high scale restaurant. The food is awesome. The drinks are great. So they got rid of that one on campus, and he has that one there, and that one kills. So so that spot was open, and they turned it into a square peg. I want to say like a year and a half ago. Maybe actually probably closer to 2 years now. And the summers are a little slower just because there's not as many students, but they do a
Right.
ton of takeout in the area. But during the school year, I mean, it crushes there. I mean,
Yeah.
the place is packed.
You
So
don't even need to be open in the summer if you're killing it like that during the year.
yeah, I mean,
Um,
they do mainly takeout in the summer because there's still, even though the
yeah, there's
students
still
aren't
people
there,
there.
there's still people that live there and that are from there or whatever. And
Yeah,
um,
it was one of there's a couple of like the last time I went was I got to go up there again because I haven't been in a while. But I went up there. My son must have been 4 or 5 maybe, so that's a 4 or 5 years ago. But when I went up there, I was so obviously it's built up so much, but I was and this has been gone for a while, but I always like remember when they got rid of Kathy Johns. Like that was my favorite. Remember
that's
Kathy
they
Johns?
had great milkshakes there. Great milkshakes.
I used to go there
Yeah.
after the games or the next morning after a game, and then do they still have the? I wonder if they still have the. Used to be a really good Italian restaurant down towards the hotel on the way to like Willimantic. You know what I'm talking about? Angelino's? Was it Angelino?
I think in that
Is
plaza
that,
there, is that what you're
yeah, is
talking
that still
about?
there?
I think it is still there. I don't ever, when I go up there, I don't ever go down that stretch
That
anymore.
far, yeah.
Yeah, but I have to imagine that's still there. I mean, that's a totally different demographic because it's actually a little closer to Eastern, I think, than it is to
Yep.
UConn. But um, yeah, I mean, campus is totally different. A lot of that stuff that was there, like Huskies is gone. It's
Gone.
just an
I
abandoned
can't
building
believe that
now.
that's gone. I can't
I
believe that.
know. I mean, Ted's is still there. It's
Would they
you know,
retire those guys, I guess, or whatever?
I have no idea. Well, back in the day, the guys who owned Huskies also owned Ted's.
Okay.
So, but I think it's new people that own Ted's now. There's a young kid um that when we went there like 2 years ago, he was the owner then. So I don't know if they sold Ted's or whatever. Because Derek and those guys used to own both of those.
Right, Derek. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm not sure, but it's yeah, it's totally different up there now. In a good way. I mean, just like that little downtown area that they have now is really cool. They got a nice bookshop. There's a couple different stores you can go into, a couple different restaurants, but yeah, Square Peg kills it there. So we're excited. This will be his first one down in like the Fairfield County area. Um So it should be really good. It'll be really exciting because it's partnering with them, and they have proven success, and it's basically like a franchise now.
Right.
Um,
That's what it sounds like. Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
yeah, and yeah, it's cool. They do really really cool different things on the menu. The pizza's awesome, so we're pumped.
That's cool. That's very,
Yep.
very cool. Um, Hoop Squad. How we doing there?
Yeah, we have senior day. I'm trying not to focus on our record too much. Like
Right.
my new phrase is like progress over prizes, right? It's like, can we get better every day? It's funny, like we've played a couple of teams recently where like, they're trying to run the score up on us and like whatever. And we're just so polar opposite than everyone right now because we're just so young
Right.
and everybody else just has so many veterans. Um, where we're just like, all right, let them get their licks in now. We're gonna build this thing, and it's gonna take time, which we knew. Um, we've lost some games that we could have won, but again, just comes down to experience and just having the kids that have been in that situation. So we're really excited about the future, and I've learned a ton this year. It's definitely been an adjustment for me to, be a part of a team that's not in the win column more than in the lose column, but I'm just trying to savor the relationships that we've built with the seniors. We'll get to celebrate them, in their careers tomorrow, which is always a special day. And we'll finish up with UMass Dartmouth next Saturday, and then we're gonna hit the recruiting trail, and then just work on postseason workouts and just focusing on getting this core group that we have coming back better every day, and just focusing on the future while still trying to take in the present. So although our record doesn't show it, the leaps and bounds that we've made this year have been dramatic, and I'm excited. I'm excited to work on what we've done this year and build what we can for the future.
What is recruiting like? So when you start recruiting, how do you go about it? Do you go to AU tournaments? Do you go to high schools? How does I mean, obviously online is a big part of it, I'm sure, but
Yeah,
how
I mean, for this year, I'd like to try to get some 2025s. We've been hitting the high school games because obviously AAU doesn't start till the spring. I still think we'll be able to get some kids, in the spring at AAU that maybe slip through the cracks and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll hit a bunch of AAU tournaments this spring and summer to try to recruit for next year and the following years and start to build like a database of kids that we like. I think what we're trying to do right now is just find some gaps in what we don't have right now, and really try to fill those voids. I think and try to find the style of kid that really fits the system that we want to have, which is just like gritty kids, strong defensive kids. Get a couple of point guards that can push the ball and can shoot. We definitely could use another shooter, and just kind of build around the pieces that we have. It's brick by brick right now. It's we got to take a look at everybody and just see from a personality and culture standpoint who fits the best.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and obviously with would you get try to get some transfers too? Is that a part of the
Yeah,
picture? I would
yeah, we
expect.
got we got one late. We got one like 2 weeks ago, who was at a D2 school.
Okay.
We'll hit the portal. I've already been looking at the portal a little bit. My assumption is once the season officially ends, more kids will hit the portal again. So we'll take. I want to be careful with that because obviously, there's a reason why the kid is in the portal. Sometimes it's a good reason, sometimes it's not. So I think we want to be really intentional about who we pick up in there. And outside of that, it's like let's get some kids in there that we can have for 4 years and develop into the style that we want to play. And next year it'll be nice to have a full preseason, because of when we got hired. We didn't really get a preseason with them. It was kind of like starting from scratch and, just throwing a bunch of stuff, at them, where now we have some kids that now at least know what to expect with us and what we're trying to run. So I think that will be different. So it's just trying to add some different pieces to that moving forward.
Do you think do you look to make, I guess because it's a state school, Connecticut most of the recruiting base, or is it, or it doesn't
Uh,
matter? Doesn't
no,
matter.
it doesn't. It doesn't matter. Nice part for us is that at WestCon, New York and New Jersey are reciprocal states. So if you're from New York or New Jersey, you can go to WestCon and pay in-state Connecticut
Oh
tuition,
wow,
which is a big deal. Yeah, so
that's awesome.
we're, we're looking at a bunch of kids in the tri-state area is what I would say is really our focus.
Wow, that's
Um,
a huge. That's awesome.
yeah, it's
UConn doesn't do that, right? I don't think UConn does that.
no, nope, nope.
That's a huge asset from a recruiting standpoint. New
Oh
York
yeah,
and New
for sure.
Jersey being able to be reciprocal. That's
Yep,
probably where a ton of basketball players, I would guess. I had on yesterday. I had on our prospect podcast, Dawn Carpel, the coach, SJV St. John Vianney in New
yep.
Jersey. She's oof, unbelievable,
Yeah,
unbelievable.
they got a great program. When I was at Notre Dame, of Fairfield, we went down and played in one of the early on season tournaments down at St. John Vianney, and we got to watch them play. And it's like the funny part about a roster like that, right, is like, she probably has five D1 kids in her starting lineup.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
She probably has, 6 through 8 or maybe D2 kids, but her like 9 through 12 is still really strong and it would probably make really awesome D3 kids. So,
Yeah.
those are schools you want to look at where, maybe the kid isn't the star, but even on a team like that, if you're number 11 or 12, you're probably still a pretty good ball player.
Yeah, and I would guess that sometimes because she was saying that sometimes she does have like her, because they'll get like, obviously freshmen are coming in right away that are starters. Those are like her D1 kids. But you're right, like her, even sometimes her 7 and 8. She was saying could be a D3 kid,
Yep.
um, could be like a pro, like a kid that like just isn't the a great player, but just isn't the size to be able to have an impact, or
Yep.
the athlete to have an impact at a Division 1 level. Um,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
like wanted to be at SJV, like does everything they need him to do. It was interesting hearing because she does have so many D1 kids that it was interesting hearing her perspective on AAU, and she obviously has like her own club for the younger kids, but her perspective on like how, 'cause she always gets basically the best of the best in, like this area of New Jersey, and people come from like a wide distances to come to play for her. But what was interesting
Yep.
is that you're saying that a lot more of the kids that come in now are not are not as a game awareness. They'll have athletic ability. They'll have, they'll have actually even skills and stuff, but like their awareness of the game, he's like, because they're so focused on, they don't focus enough on
Skill
the
work,
overall
yeah. Well,
development of
we've
the
talked
player
about
though.
that. We've talked about that before, like a while back. It's like I I say this all the time. The kids nowadays are, I would say, way more individually skilled. Um, when you get them right, like they can do more stuff. Like they got a big bag in
Right.
terms of like individual skill work. But when you put them in a live game situation, their ability to be able to use those skills in a game, like when do I use this stuff that I have in my bag, has dramatically gone down. Where I feel like back in the day it was opposite, right? Like you had kids that were like, either I'm really, really good at this and I know how to and when to use it in a game, but maybe I can't do all the pizzazz and like my bag isn't
Mm-hmm.
as big, but I could read a screen. I know how to use screens. I know how to cut and move without the ball. It's taken us a while even this year to get these kids to understand, all right, you can do these things, but like when are you using it in a game? And it takes a long time, and because we have so many freshmen, I think we struggled a little bit with that, where it's like, okay, you can do a Euro move, but like, what do you, like, show me what's the scenario in a game where you're going to use it? And they're like, look at you like you got 5 heads, right? Or if I say like, okay, we're going to run a motion offense, don't be a robot, like just read it. And it turns into, okay, well, this person's screening for me, I'm just going to cut out to the wing. Well, no, you're not just going to cut out to the wing. If the girl is behind you, following you behind the screen, you want to curl it. If they shoot the gap, you want to fade. Like, the IQ of that has dramatically gone down, but the individual bag size has gone up. So it's
Right.
really about finding like that nice blend. And if you could find a kid that can do both, it's a home run, but it's rare. It's definitely rare.
It's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah, it was interesting hearing how because I was curious if she had started, but they do have people that are starting to get like NIL stuff with their girls earlier.
Yep.
That she just started dealing with it a little bit, but
Right.
it was interesting because I was curious because I don't know if they're number one in New Jersey, but usually they're like number one, like number
Oh,
one.
usually they're ranked in the country, so I wouldn't.
Yeah, top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, top 10. It's yeah, I think she's a coach this year of the McDonald's All American game. I think that's what she said. I mean, I think she's been the coach a couple times, but I think she's the coach this year of the game, which means she must have a girl that's an All American. I'm assuming. So
Yep.
it's interesting though. It's interesting hearing. I agree. Like you get those kids that come from a good program that know how to practice and have had and that are shoot, if they didn't stay at that program, maybe they might have went maybe even be in a higher level because there's so many studs there, right? So you get them and they get into your program and now they get a chance, they get their chance to be stars. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. Recruiting is very, very interesting in basketball. Hello, I lose you. Oh, hello. I think I might have lost Maria. Did we lose Maria? Did we lose Maria? Maria may be gone. 3, 2. Maria gone. Maria gone. Oh, and it is just me. I'm looking very good right now. Okay, we'll wait for Maria to come back. I think we lost her briefly. It's interesting. So let's talk the recruiting in basketball. Oh, speaking of the Euro move, I'm looking it up. Isn't it just a layup? I'm confused. It's just an extended layup. Is the Euro move to weave between defenders? Hello.
The one bad thing about typically having to do these in my car, like right now I'm in Litchfield County. I have to go out to see a client, and the service is just like nuts.
No,
So
I can imagine. I had the Euro move is basically like an extended layup, right?
Yeah,
by the way,
recruiting is interesting. It's finding the diamonds in the rough.
Yep. Testing. There you are. Good. You're there.
Yep.
You're cutting in and out a little bit. I really didn't hear what you just said before. You said something about diamonds in the rough or something, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, in recruiting, it's just, I think what makes a huge difference is being able to find those diamonds in the rough that maybe get overlooked, at least on our level. So, that's what we'll be looking for this spring and summer.
Right. I think that's a big deal with it. How about the UConn? So I brought it up briefly in our anger fueled podcast The
Yeah.
he cut the tension with a knife. Um,
Yeah.
yes, and it's crazy because the last few times, Steve, I just gave him the link and he rolled, and I would come in off my other podcast. So when I started getting your text, I'm like, what's she talking about? Aren't they on the podcast? So I go in there and I'm like, whoa, nobody's in there. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness. And and like you wouldn't have been writing me if you weren't like, what the WTF, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, then my thoughts immediately went to Joe. That's my thought of me. As soon as I said, well, Marie, okay, I'll get on there. I'll get Marie go. And then I'm like, oh my God, Joe is gonna be loose. I'm like, and then I couldn't believe it. Steve showed up on the podcast. So that,
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess I'm going to have him on shortly. So supposedly everything he just said to me that he went back into where he was before, and then
Yeah.
so, but
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, but
Good.
my question was this. Well, my question about it was, and we briefly answered it, but were you surprised at all by Gino's comments?
No.
No.
I think that when you're the star player like she is, you have to assume you're going to take the brunt of stuff,
Yeah. Because because the newer, kinder, gentler Gino, it was interesting because I'm like, oh, all right, like that. This is the old Gino back,
Can you hear me?
Hello. Can't really hear you. Can you hear me? I'm sorry. I think the area you're in is very bad. I don't know if I can hear you.
Yeah, and I think we see like pockets of someone, and then
Oh, and she's gone. Well, my question was, and was the Gino Ariema, who was always a spark plug. And why am I like showing him? Oh, okay.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you. I can hear you. It's like the old. It's like the old commercial that AT&T. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Oh my gosh, I know, right? Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that she's got to expect that stuff, right? Because she gets all the glory when things go good.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yep.
When things aren't going good, you got to, and hopefully we'll see a different page on Sunday.
Right. I agree. I think that we probably will. It was nice to see the old Gino back. The kinder, gentler Gino I'm used to seeing now. But it was good to see the old Gino back for a little bit.
So, all right. I think we should cut this short.
Yeah.
I keep going in and out, and I don't want to like mess it up.
Yeah, no problem.
But,
yeah, we'll get you back next week. Oh, so well, that'll be the end. We lost her, and we'll be back next week.